There's 3 different races that Spartan does, and they just get more and more intense. And I was going to train that whole year to do it. But before I did, I was like, I'm around all these bodybuilders. It seems really cool. They're aesthetic, and it's just another good challenge. I haven't done it yet. I think I'm going to try the bodybuilding show.
All right, well, welcome back to the Rain Brings Growth podcast. We got Cody Fernley here. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, bro?
Oh, doing well. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. I met you at 3D Fitness.
Yes, sir.
See you putting up some good content. I liked a lot of the stuff that you were putting up, man. What really caught my eye was you're faith-based and you're the natural bodybuilder, and you don't really see a lot of that nowadays, so it's really cool to see.
I appreciate it, man. It's definitely, I don't know, I'm finding that it's a minority in a way, you know? Like, a lot of people I find, for whatever reason, are embarrassed or nervous or scared to kind of put themselves out there, like what they believe. And it doesn't have to be a sensitive topic. It really doesn't. And I've really just tried to, as I've grown in social media content and trying to grow in my cinematography and doing my thing, and more people, even though I don't have much of an audience, I feel like, in comparison to people who have like hundreds of thousands of followers, whoever is watching, I want them to get an idea of my faith, kind of intertwined with my artistic style of stuff. So it's definitely also the only way I could do what I do. Like, I can't be successful in this industry of bodybuilding and fitness without God right by my side, because there's so much temptation. There's so much crap around that you can easily get stuck into. So having at least that base moral for me has been very, very beneficial for my mental, physical, spiritual health.
Have you always been around faith, or was it something you found later on in life?
It started out, I actually grew up Mormon in the LDS church. And when I was 18, ended up separating from that. And I think it's like, at least most people I've talked to coming out of high school, you know, you leave your faith, whether it's, I know, whatever religion it is, just because you're finding yourself, you want to get out of the house. Your parents been putting everything on you for 18 years. You want to figure out kind of whatever you want to do and whatever you want to believe. So I separated kind of from religion, from faith, and it wasn't that long of a time. I always believed in God, but it just had to find its way to me. I always knew that there was something bigger than me. And at one point in my life, I knew there was God, but I didn't know exactly how that looked. And then once I got engaged and decided to take that step with, at the time, my girlfriend Reagan, now my wife, we wanted to make sure that God was at the forefront of our relationship. We knew that at the heart of every successful marriage, at least that we've seen, it's because Christ has been at the forefront of that. And when we got married, October 7th of 2023, last fall, we were still kind of looking for a church. We didn't know what we wanted to do, but we were kind of starting to take those steps. We weren't comfortable with still kind of talking about our faith together, and we weren't really reading the Bible or anything. We were trying to pray together, and it was just kind of a struggle. It's kind of, like I said, it feels kind of uncomfortable at first, you know? And we ended up going to the church her parents went to on the Christmas Eve service out at Deer Flat. That's the church we attend. And we just fell in love with it. Fell in love with the vibe. We ended up going to the New Year's service after that too. And around that time, a client of mine I was working with actually was going there too. So I found that out actually the first Sunday, so that Christmas Eve Sunday. And then that New Year's Eve service, I found out some family members that I had out over in Homedale area that they went there. So it just seemed like things were lining up. We liked how the service was. We liked who the people were. And since then, we've just been off and rolling. And now we pray every night together. We definitely talk about our faith a lot more. We've changed a lot of things in our lives, music we listen to, types of entertainment we choose. And we're not perfect, but it has definitely at least made a difference how we go about our day to day. And yeah, and now we are just trying to do the best we can, you know, just trying to stay as strong as we can with our faith together. And we've had an absolutely amazing first year marriage, and without a doubt, putting God at the forefront of our relationship has been the pinnacle to that.
Yeah, that's awesome here, man. I also I grew up in Salt Lake, so
Right on.
I grew up in the Mormon church, and then I went through some stuff. I guess the thing people like to say is trauma now, but just like some childhood stuff, and it really was like I lost faith, I guess you could say, when I was early on teenager. But I was Mormon too, and then I just kind of went away from it, and I was like, there's no way that God's got a plan for me. All the stuff I went through, man, this is crazy, right? And so but I grew up Mormon too, and just stopped really having any faith for a minute. It was a good minute. Like, I think it took about 12 years for me to start looking back at everything that I had been through. And I was like, there really is there was a purpose for everything that I went through. Like, it was really hard to see then when I was going through it, but I definitely could see it later on. I too decided that, it's something that I would like my family to have some morals, especially my kids.
Right.
Because I won't always be around for them to, bounce ideas off of, or, it's always going to be better if they can come up with the ideas themselves. So if they can have a base morals. But yeah, we've also decided to start looking for a church to go to. We kind of want to go to just a general Christian church. Don't really want to be specific to anything.
Right.
Probably not going to go 99. Yeah, we're not going back to the Mormon church. Nothing against them. Just
not the way to live, or not the way to live for you personally. That's what
yeah,
I'd
it's like nothing wrong with it. I have all my family is Mormon. My wife's family doesn't really have a specific one, but I think they're the same, kind of just like Christian beliefs. And but I think it's very important, especially having kids, and like you said, if you can have the same morals, that's going to make your relationship with your wife better. There's so many temptations in this world.
Yes.
And if you can have a good moral to set back on, good foundation, it's going to be easier to grow a house up from there. If you don't have a stable foundation, then it's just all going to come crumbling down.
Absolutely. What brought you back to your faith, if you don't mind me asking? Was there like a certain event that happened, or was it just kind of like one day you woke up and God kind of just hit you in the back of the head? It was like, wake up, or everyone has their story.
Honestly, I think there was just a lot of different things that happened, and I just felt like it was divine intervention, and one thing led to another. Okay. And I just had to look back and be like, if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't have, I don't know. So my stepmom was abusive to me as a kid, but it was behind closed doors. My dad didn't know anything about it. Wow. I didn't tell anybody for really, it only started coming out this last January.
Wow.
I was just swept it under the rug. It was done. Everything. It's a big story, but long story short, I ended up just having to do a consideration of where my life was going and how I wanted it to be for my kids. And I couldn't keep playing the victim card of why me or poor me or any of that. So I looked back in a different way of this actually built me to who I am now. Amazing. And I think that was I had to think that I went through all that for a reason. Mm-hmm. So then I started thinking, well, if there was a reason, then maybe God did have a plan for me. And then I started thinking of everything of if it wasn't for my stepmom, she had kids that were in Idaho. And that's what made my dad open up another location for his business here in Idaho, which if I didn't move to Idaho, then I wouldn't have met my wife that I have now. We've been together since I met her the first year that I moved here to Idaho in 8th grade. I met her.
Wow. Wow.
And then we didn't really talk too much, but we were in the same class together. We knew of each other. And then later on in like 8th grade, we had dated for, like the high school dating for like a week or two, and then the high school breakup, whatever.
Of course.
And then we started dating for real in junior year, and we've been together ever since.
Wow.
Had 4 kids together and gone through everything. She's been my rock in my life, like helping me out through all my growth that I've had to go through. Gave me a few, 4 beautiful kids, and like without me going through that and my dad admitting that woman to bring me up here to Idaho, like there was definitely a plan, and I just had to like sit back and detach from the situation and realize that there was so many things that have just come together that if there wasn't a plan or there wasn't a higher power, like this isn't just a coincidence.
No such thing as coincidences.
Yeah.
Don't believe it.
Yeah. Like I went through quite a bit of stuff, and then I was like, I'm just going to sweep this under the rug.
Act like it never happened, move on.
Right. I had hired a coach, like a mindset coach, to help me out. I didn't really want to go to a psychiatrist or anything. It was more like a business coach, but he helped me out with a lot of mindset stuff. And one of the first things that we did was just like, we need to, figure out what's going on in your past to block the successes coming up in your future. And he's like, so like, let's go over all your trauma or anything in your past. And I was like, no, man, it's good. Like I'm over it. We don't need.
Let's just move forward.
Yep. And he's like, that's not going to help you out, man. And I was like, no, I'm positive. Well, I'm pretty good at sweeping stuff under the rug. And that was like on a Friday. And the very next day I go to my buddy's wedding, and we're sitting there, and it was an outside wedding. We're watching the bride walk down the aisle, and I start to look back at the where everybody's parked, the parking lot. And all of a sudden I started seeing my stepmom from like 12 years ago, or 14 years ago. I'd never seen her. It was the very next day after I said that I was done. It was like a rush of emotion just came through me. Like I started shaking. My wife's like trying to calm me down. She's like, what's wrong? And I was like,
wow.
She's here. And she's like, who? And I was like, my stepmom. And I like just so angry, and like all these emotions just instantly came up that I was trying to suppress for so long.
Wow.
And then luckily it was like 110 degrees outside, so they made this wedding super quick. And then everything's all done. I was like, I gotta go. My wife's like, yeah, go take care of your thing. I just went to the car, like called my mentor. I was like, dude, I don't know what the heck to do, man. I'm freaking out, tell him the story. And he's like, well, this is like the cow and the buffalo situation you like to talk about. Like you can run from this situation or you can face it head on. And I was like, talk about divine intervention, man. And that was one of the big points in my life. I was like, I need to, figure this out. And
couldn't be any clearer, sounds like.
Yeah, pretty big sign right there. And so that was one of the biggest moments, though, that just made me like, there's definitely a plan, and you can't run from it. And started definitely believing more in faith and wanting to do better for my kids. And I just stopped drinking last year too, so I was like trying to do a whole bunch of different things, and that one just really shook it, though.
Man, props to you on stopping drinking too. That's definitely a hard one for a lot of people. That's thankfully something I haven't struggled with too bad. But I definitely have seen the destruction it can cause, and it's tough. So props to you on that. That's huge on its own,
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it was, it's, I had to think, I have to set the example for my kids.
Yep.
If I don't take care of these issues, I'm just going to hand these off to my kids that have to take care of it, and it's not fair to them.
That's what I hear is one of the eye-opening things about parenthood. My best friend just became a father last July, and he's already kind of seeing this, but I've also talked to a lot of parents, and they say that having kids is a huge reflection on yourself, and it's in the weirdest ways, and it just makes you really look inwardly and makes you see a lot of problems and things that you need to fix in yourself. And that's an experience that I'm nervous for when I eventually do have kids. Me and my wife thankfully planned a little bit to hopefully, I mean, you make plans and God laughs, they say, but planning to hopefully have kids in the next couple years instead of, unexpectedly. So we're trying to make sure we get some of those things in order. But either way, I know when the kids come, that's going to happen. And whatever I have stuffed way deep down that I don't even know about, it's going to come out and I'm going to have to deal with it. But yeah.
Yeah, being a parent's definitely the hardest job there is. You
One of the
can't
most
quit
rewarding,
from.
though, too.
It's definitely rewarding being able to help your kids out and see them grow and just have them running up to you when you get home from work, man. That's like the best part.
That's what my buddy Jacob said too. That was the first thing he said, was like, bro, there's nothing like coming home from a long day of work and just seeing your kids smile at you. I'm like, that's pretty cool. That sounds like a pretty surreal feeling because, your kid is one of one. No matter who it is, that is a one of one soul, and they're going to be looking to you. In your case, the four of them are going to be looking to you, and you're the only dad they got. And so they're excited and they're pumped for when you come home. So that's super cool, bro. That's a house of love, too. And that's what you want to obviously curate, and you're doing that.
Do you guys have a number in mind? How many kids you guys want to have?
We want to, we've said anywhere between 2 and 4. But 4 is the max for sure, and 2 is like the least amount. I grew up an only child, and for the most part, my mom remarried when I was in 5th grade and had a stepsister for like the tail end of 5th grade through would have been my 8th grade year. So I pretty much lived most of my life with being an only child, and there was definitely perks to it. And, my mom did her best, but there's also a lot of situations where having a brother or sister would have been amazing. So that's where I landed, and then we just think 4 is way too much, or anything more than 4. We don't have those type of hands.
Yeah. It's nice to have the even numbers because then they just raise themselves. They
Yes.
pair up.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they both have a system, and they can just kind of hang out, do their thing, and grow off each other.
Yeah. So how'd you get started into bodybuilding?
Bodybuilding. Man, I mean, it didn't just start like one day, me waking up and saying, I want to be a bodybuilder. It kind of just happened over time. Initially started with, I could go way back into first getting into fitness. Back when I was like a sophomore in high school, I needed to start lifting more. I was doing weight training, but I wanted to be a better athlete. So that's when I got introduced to taking a pre-workout and what that does, and lifting like a bro split almost. But I just didn't know a lot, so I was going to the gym, I was doing these exercises, but didn't really get that mind-muscle connection down, didn't do these things correctly. I was just kind of learning, and I was doing that all the way kind of through high school. And then once I graduated, I knew that I wasn't going to be playing any sports at the collegiate level, but I still wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to be in shape, and fitness seemed like the only spot I could really think of that I could be fit and still consider myself an athlete and stay athletic. And I really liked basketball at the time, so I was still just playing a lot of basketball with friends. And just kind of lifted recreationally for fun. I was also partying a lot, coming out of college. I dropped out of college, and the year of 2018, May of 2018 or whatever, that's when I dropped out. So that whole freaking year, I was just partying. And same almost through freaking 2020 I just smoked a lot of weed, partied, did my thing. And at the end of 2020, December 15th, I believe, I have a picture on my phone. I took a picture at the gym, and I was just so unhappy with myself. I'm like, I've got to make a change. And at the time, I just started a customer service job at bodybuilding.com. So I'm starting to kind of get introduced into the bodybuilding industry and supplements, and I was really getting the supplements at that time. And going into 2021, I figured, or I just was doing the same thing, kind of working out, figuring myself out. And then 2022 comes along, and I'm working with a new client called Price Plow, editing their videos, and they are essentially the media of the sports nutrition industry. So they will go around to headquarters around the country for a bunch of different supplement brands. I can name a handful that are kind of mainstream. Go to the headquarters, podcast, vlog with them, talk about development of products coming up or exciting new products that are going to be rolling out in the next year or two. In editing their stuff, I was really starting to get into it more and more. I started going on trips with them, so I was starting to be around these type of people. Um, and the first thing I did was a CrossFit type of split, and I did a Spartan race. And after I did it, I messed up my knee a little bit, and I just wasn't as prepared as I thought. So I was thinking about doing the trifecta, which is like I can't think of the names, but there's 3 different races that Spartan does, and they just get more and more intense. And I was gonna train that whole year to do it, but before I did, I was like, I'm around all these bodybuilders. It seems really cool. They're aesthetic, and it's just another good challenge. I haven't done it yet. I think I'm gonna try the bodybuilding show, and then once I do that, I'll figure out should I become like this hybrid athlete and really push and train for CrossFit, or if I catch the bodybuilding bug, maybe pursue that and see what I want to do. And I started, I started with a coach in August of 2022. And like 3 weeks after I initially just started with my coach, had no idea what I was really doing bodybuilding wise, just learning again, starting at square one. My buddy Jeremy Slagle, I grew up with him from high school actually, went our separate ways. He ended up moving back to Idaho like within that year or something. And we did a workout together, and I'm like, bro, you have like the genetics. He's just one of those guys naturally. He looks great. Never really got chunky. He would just eat a lot, and it would just go all to his pecs and his biceps. It was just wild. And I'm like, dude, I don't know why you were not competing. Like, I don't even look the part, and I'm doing it. So I convinced him to sign up for the show with me. And on top of it, we decided that we want to document it. So we make a YouTube channel together. We end up documenting our prep together. We did our first show in September of 2023, and he got 3rd overall. I got 3rd in my class. I didn't do the open. And then we ended up doing a Boise show of this natural federation we compete in that was just announced that year in November. And he won his pro card at that show. And it was super cool because I got to document the whole thing, and now I get to even watch just our journey together. But he did really well, and I didn't end up placing it all. And it really messed with my head at first because this first show we did, I did better, but the competition was not that good. And it was in Las Vegas, which was really surprising that it wasn't good down there. And this Boise show, there was some great-looking dudes up there. And the physiques were crazy. Everybody brought it, and that is where, after I lost that show, I got in my car, and I just sat with that emotion for a sec, and I was kind of just sorting out how I'm feeling, like what's going on. I'm happy for my best friend who just won. I did crappy, but I've also looked the best I ever had. This first show, I had a coach, but he wasn't very present, and I didn't do very well on my part of it. And the second show, the coach wasn't present, and I did all my own. And I just sat there. I'm like, I really want to do this. And committed right there that next time I step on stage, I'm going to take the overall, and I'm going to become a pro. And I didn't expect to be doing this show this year, but just ended up kind of falling that way. And wanted to be a good challenge too for my own channel because I ended up separating from our joint one because it was just so hard to try and do all this content together with him plus everything else I'm doing because he lives about 45 minutes away. It was just a big time commitment to do for free. And yeah, so I just thought it'd be a great challenge to see what I could do for a year from not even getting a medal on stage to like what can I do in a year and bring it back and try and win my pro card. So that was a very, very long story of kind of what got me into it. But yeah, overall, man, I just love pushing myself each and every day, knowing that whatever the outcome is, it's going to be on me. And that's the biggest thing I love that's gotten me into bodybuilding.
What challenges do you think you've faced with the deciding to go natural when obviously in bodybuilding, performance enhancing drugs are kind of like,
Right.
the thing, but there are different classes that are drug tested and natural. But have you ever, what challenges have you faced in that whole realm?
You'd be surprised, man. Like, I haven't noticed a lot of challenges. It was the most challenging in the very, very beginning when I was making that decision. Um, so my wife actually, we had a sit down when I uh, decided I wanted to get a coach and do my first show. She's like, I need you like to tell me right now you're gonna decide to stay natural. And the reason for that is if you don't solidify that idea now, you're not going to have a firm foundation when you inevitably, if you stay in it, you're going to be offered that kind of thing. And even it's just part of like why I wasn't crazy about the coach I was with in the beginning, because I told him I wanted to be natural, and I could count 4 or 5 times in my head right now that he would, after we'd work out, he'd like pretty much say, I know you want to be natural, but if you decide to change your mind, just let me know, and we'll get you taken care of. And I didn't like that I was being offered that. Um, Even being clear with him that I wanted to be natural. But other than that, there was not really any issue with it. I've always really been health conscious, and I've really longevity has been really important to me. So I want to be able to do this when I'm 65, 75. At my first show, there's a guy who was, I think, 70. And I'm like, that's the kind of guy I want to be. And I know that if I take performance enhancing drugs for an extended amount of time, especially at the level, if I want to be like top dog, I mean, you really got to push the limits on that sometimes. And longevity just usually doesn't come with that type of extremity. So I've been very blessed to have my wife in my corner, the most important person in my prep, honestly, besides, the person who's on the Stairmaster. She's the one that is helping me really get through, and God, but been very blessed to not have too many challenges yet. I've really just made it clear that I want to be natural, and people have seemed to respect that.
Yeah, especially too if you want to be having kids too. I'm sure that would,
Right.
play a role in, uh, you know, being able to conceive and all that other stuff. So
Absolutely.
if that's a goal in mind, and obviously that's a bigger goal than winning any contest, right? Because you're
Right. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, it is a contest, and that's what I do try and remind myself. Like, what's the cost of that? And if the cost of winning a pro show is not getting to live past 45 or 50 or get to see my kids grow and have kids or whatever, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, the most important thing is being around for my loved ones. And if anything's going to get in the way of that, then I really got to take a step and think about it and make sure I'm not doing that.
yeah. If there's any other natural bodybuilders that want to get started out there, what do you think is like some key principles that they need to think about before they get started? Or, like you said, you needed to make sure that you're going to be natural, but what are some things that you think they need to get taken care of, or discipline, or what kind of things do you think?
Well, let me start with prefacing that if you don't want to be natural, like, do you just do it safely? Do it with someone who, who knows what they're doing. Make sure you know the science behind what you're doing. But obviously, I do recommend staying natural. And to anyone who is interested in going into the bodybuilding world, going into it naturally, number one, have that foundation set in your head that if you're going to be natural, do it natural. Don't be wishy-washy about it, because if you are, you'll definitely fall into it. It's all around, and it's not or it's not hard to find. And number two, it takes time. I'm already seeing that now of how much work I've had to put in, and I've definitely seen a lot of change and a lot of growth in the amount of time that I've started. Man, I mean, almost to the day, it's been like 2 years since I decided to start bodybuilding, but it takes time, and it's a long game. What I'm trying to do from going not placing to trying to win my pro card, like, if that happens, it definitely is unheard of, especially naturally. part of what attracted me to that crazy goal. I think goals should be crazy, but it takes time. And if you don't see results overnight, don't stress about it. Because at the end of the day, even me, like I've started bodybuilding 2022 to 2024, but my fitness journey started in 2016. That's when I first like figured out like fitness industry. This is what it is. So it takes time, keep that foundation firm, and just be patient. Patience is the biggest thing, and consistency. If you stay patient and if you stay consistent, it might be a while of consistency, but you'll definitely come out on top as long as you just keep that course. Just stay consistent, stay patient.
I totally agree. Consistency is everything, not just fitness, but anything else you want in life, especially, making your own YouTube channel. I've heard a lot of things like that is,
It's hard.
like Mr. Beast is a big dog, and he
yeah.
said, he went years without anything. He
Yep.
just kept posting consistently, and because a lot of people wish they could go and look back and see where they started from.
Right.
That's what you hear a lot of people say, like, I wish I would have journaled, but this is just a video journal, right?
Exactly.
So, and I think also too, people might look at you and say, wow, this guy's huge, but they don't actually see all the work that you're doing, but now they actually can.
Now they actually can.
Hey, dude, go check out my YouTube channel, and you can see how much work goes into this. It's not just an overnight thing, and
Right.
like the consistency that you said, the discipline, the hours of meal prep, the hours in the gym.
Right.
Now you're doing a YouTube channel on top of that, hours of recording, hours of editing, like we were talking about earlier. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that, and it's cool to see that you can set an example for someone too, not just in the fitness world, but the videography.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot, even just knowing that you've taken notice. Because like as you said, Mr. Beast, he went years with doing this kind of thing and never seeing anything come out of it. And I'm like right in the middle of that. Like I've had plenty of conversations with other creators in the last couple months of like every week I want to quit my YouTube channel. Every week I have thoughts of like, this is ridiculous. I'm putting so much freaking time into filming and editing. I watch, the YouTube people that I watch, take inspiration from, and just I'm constantly thinking about it. Every time I look at like a room, the gym, whatever, I just look through it in a lens. It's changed the way I perceive life, and it's so like you could tell it's almost taken over. It's just changed my mindset on everything. But even today, before I came here, I was doing some editing, and I turned on the UVU channel that me and my buddy made to document our prep, and I was looking at a video of like 5 weeks out from that first show, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I was 5 weeks out, and now I'm looking way better, and I did it like 8 weeks out the last time. So that gave me a lot of confidence even for this prep, and it made me excited just to be like, man, that was cool that those guys did that because they were thinking of me in 2 years that I get to look back, and when I'm not feeling it, I could see the growth and be like, okay, I am on the right track. And I'm sure that someone else is going to be able to do that because I know that with my consistency and with my patience on my content, my documentation, my journey, whenever it does pay off, there's going to be a lot of people that will be able to look back and they will be able to see like the blueprint of, okay, you do want to do this, then this is what I did, and this is what worked for me, and I didn't do anything different than guy A or guy B. I just did it. I stayed consistent. I worked out consistently. I did cardio consistently, and now you see where I am now. And then I'll be saying this in 10 years, and 10 years after that, hopefully, and hopefully in that time, just inspiring more and more people to be better than they were yesterday. That's one of my biggest things is I want to be 0.1% better than I was yesterday. Because if I do that over the course of my whole life, I mean, it's just exponentially gets better,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I definitely agree. I mean, having a vision in your life and setting the crazy goals, like you were saying, if you're not setting a goal that you don't think is achievable, I don't think you're setting a big enough goal. Because even if you're aiming for the moon and you get to the stars, at least you're in outer space,
Yep.
right?
And that's what I have to tell myself when I do think about the show coming up is, of course, I'm going for the win, but I think no matter what, because of the passion that I've had through this prep and the drive and determination and everything I've poured into it so far and what I will pour into it in these last 7.5 weeks, with that mindset, even if I weren't to take the win, I know I will be placing and doing so much better than I would have if I just went into the show, but like, man, I didn't do good last year. I'm going to do this prep again, and just hopefully I'll do better this year after being a year in. I know with the intensity I put in that I'm not going to be able to do any better than what I'm about to bring. I'm going to bring the best I possibly can at that time, and that I'll be happy with that at the end of the day, because if you give everything truly and you truly leave no stone unturned, which you really got to dissect. I found, I thought I did that last year, but after seeing what I've done this year, you really got to dissect and be like, okay, I thought I didn't leave any stone unturned, but I could have done a couple more things. I could have stayed a little more on track on diet. I could have done even 2 minutes extra cardio just to make that thing add up a little more.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you don't win, all the experience that you get just from doing that,
Absolutely.
it's like either you're winning or you're learning.
Yep.
So as long as you don't quit and you stick to what you need to do,
Yep.
you're just that much closer to your goal next time.
Yep.
That's a good thing about bodybuilding, right? It's not like there's only one show a year and you can just work on the next one.
Stage is always there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How long is an average prep? I don't know much about the bodybuilding going on stage scene. I'm pretty new to it. I've thought about maybe trying it just to say I've tried it, but I haven't really looked too much into it yet.
Definitely should try it. Definitely recommend everyone give it a go if you can. I think it's a great experience personally to see how far can you truly dig. But prep time usually for someone who's natural is anywhere between 16 and 20 weeks.
Okay. When do you start doing? Do you bulk first and then you cut later? Yep. Is that how it is?
Yep. Ideally, you want to bulk. Truthfully, the longer you clean, let me preface clean bulk, the better. So coming off this show and only, having just under a year, it was like 363 days or something like that. From my show date 2023 for this show date 2024. I started bulking right after the show. I think it took 2 weeks off to just reset everything. 2 weeks off, and then I did a 7-month bulk, 6.5-month bulk.
And clean bulking, you're just eating more calories, but you're not eating junk food. You're eating just.
There's cheat meals in there, definitely, but yeah, clean as possible.
Yeah.
Idea is you're eating a certain way through that bulk, and then when you're cutting, you're just limiting that same food if possible, or at least close to, which is usually a good carbohydrate source, good protein source, and good fat source somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I know there's a whole new world out there, and how does it affect your training from just a regular staying in shape to doing the bodybuilding? Are you more specific on which areas you're hitting, or how does that work?
What do you mean?
Are you doing specifically trying to get a certain muscle to start popping, or are you just still doing a whole arms, or are you trying just to do maybe 1 week you're really just hitting the triceps, or how does that work?
So when it comes to working out, I believe, and this is a question I probably should ask my coach that I should have gone over at the beginning of prep, but when I first did get with my coach, shout out to Coach Ricky at the Mecca. He's been absolutely incredible so far. When we first got together, he said that my chest needed some growth and lats, and I believe arms. So I think what he did was essentially created my split. It's a pretty even split, so I'm doing an upper day one, which is chest and back, a lower day one, which is more of a quad focus, upper day 2, which is another chest and back day, just some variation with the exercises, a lower 2, which is going to be a more hamstring and glute focused exercise regimen, and then an upper 3, which is totally arms and shoulders. So I think he kind of built it to like bring up some of my weak points, but at the same time, it feels just like a very intense workout schedule. So the idea is just to essentially stimulate all the muscles I can as effectively and efficiently and as consistently as possible. So I don't couldn't give you the answer on how specific it is, but for me
Yeah,
and how it feels,
it's a pretty good split.
it's pretty good, well rounded, I'd say.
Yeah,
I've just seen growth everywhere.
nice. Yeah, I've definitely want to, like you said, expand your horizons, try something new. I'm trying to get into the personal training as well. Like I went through the personal training last year and got certified and everything. But
Nice.
I figured, if I ever have a client that wants to do it, I'm not going to give them advice unless I've done it. I'm not going to
Right.
give somebody that wants to do a marathon advice because I'm not going to try and BS my way through it.
Right.
So I figure like the best way that I could be the best coach I can be is to do everything that I can so I can have
Nice.
experience rather than talking from a theory. I think talking from experience is a lot more true, right?
I'd agree.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I just started training recently with Charlie.
Oh, you mentioned that at the gym. How's
Yeah.
that been? How long have you been with him now?
Just about a month,
Okay.
maybe a little bit more than a month. The problem is that he likes to do twice a week, so unfortunately I can only do once a week with my schedule.
Okay.
But he did just open up the night session, so I might have to
Nice.
see if I can get in there. Just having kids, though, I try and go before they wake up just to have the most time with them. So it's going to be a tricky one, but we'll see. But he has been kicking my ass, man.
Dude, he's crazy.
He definitely humbles me, and I think that's what I need.
Yep.
Because you start getting a little bit like cocky, you start seeing some bicep veins or something, and you're like, oh, okay. And then he's like, all right, let's get you
Turn it
going.
up. Let's turn
And
it
I'm
up.
like, oh man, I got a long way to go.
Yep.
And that's good. I like getting humbled.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I might try and start doing something like that.
Absolutely should. If you ever have questions, always feel free to reach out to me. I love giving advice. I love talking about even if it's what to expect. I had somebody just ask me while I was away these last couple of days, asked for a video. They wanted me to create for them because they wanted to start prep next year, and we were just kind of talking about expectations and everything that goes into it, and it just gets me excited knowing that someone else is pushing themselves to that limit, because this is truly something that I think 1% of people out there can do. Like, truly do it. There's a lot of people who say, like, I could do a prep and then they might start, and there's a lot of people are going to get weeded out and they're going to quit. But there's a finite amount of people that can truly do it, a full 20 to 16 or 16 to 20 week prep, and give it their all. That's my thing is I don't want to count unless like truly people are giving it their all, not cheating on it and giving excuses, because life gets in the way. But I mean, you see the top dogs doing it, and I remember seeing Ryan Terry talking about his Olympia show prep a couple of years ago, I think. And I mean, this guy was pretty much going all out. I mean, of course he's using enhancers, but I mean, he was sleeping like 4 hours a night because I mean, he was working, he has a job, he has a family. Like, bodybuilding doesn't just come first when you decide to do it. You have a life outside of it and obligations you got to do. You just got to figure it out. And there's going to be a lot of inconvenient times. And that's where I truly love to see, like, okay, how far can I dig deep when I'm traveling? Conditions aren't ideal. Sleep is not there, really. Comfortability is not there. I don't know the area. I'm behind on my meals. I'm behind on XYZ. How am I going to figure it out? And how am I going to stay on track to get to tomorrow and do the same damn thing?
Really test your discipline.
Oh, absolutely. I've become way more disciplined over this last year. And one of the biggest blessings so far, I know that it's preparing me for something, and whether that's more bodybuilding or I want to eventually branch out and do some other things in the fitness world, but it's definitely made me more disciplined, this prep. I've kind of channeled something new that I didn't know I had in me. So I encourage anyone to do that because I think they'll find themselves doing that same thing eventually.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of correlation between fitness and the business life and just family and everything else. You get that delayed gratification.
Yep.
You can keep doing the work every day without seeing the results.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to keep doing it over and over and over. The consistency, like you talked about,
Yep.
it's huge, man. I really wish that people would have pitched this to me, going to the gym for the morals and the values and everything else that you get rather than just the big muscles. That wasn't really a big thing to me. But once I started going to the gym, like the mental clarity that I got,
Yep.
the discipline that I started to learn, and your body just starts feeling better. I don't see myself like freaking out as easy.
Yep.
You know, the stress relief factor, man, it's crazy. I don't want to sound, you know, like a broken record or anything, but it's awesome. I wish I would have done it a lot earlier in life, but
You're doing it now.
I think you got to do it. You know, maybe I had to go through all those those times of being a big boy to appreciate it now and
Oh, absolutely.
and not want my kids or anything to have to go through that. You know, because I can feel that pain and I can feel what it feels like now, and I could compare the two and be like, I'm never going back.
Nice. And yeah, that exactly could be God's way of saying, you know, like you would not have appreciated this unless you had to go through this.
Right.
And that's obviously not ideal when you're in those dark ages of your life, but when you come out the other side, you definitely grow an appreciation for it. And so that's beautiful about the journey of life and fitness.
Yeah, it's great, man. Fitness has changed my life for the better. It's changed my family's life. Set me on a whole new path of where I want to go. You know, I was pretty comfortable at the job that I'm at now, and it's opened up a different mindset. And I think mindset's everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great, man. I truly recommend it to anybody.
Yes.
Get in the gym. Like, your problems will go away.
Yep. Even just move. Like, you don't have to go crazy.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything that different than anyone else doing. Like, seriously, if you just get there, walk and run on the treadmill, whatever, for 30 minutes, go do resistance training for 20 minutes, just moving a little bit of weight, you will not believe the difference in how you feel.
The hardest weight to lift is just that front door.
Yep.
Going in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great thing. Hopefully, you know, I mean, that's what your YouTube channel is for, right? Just to inspire others. And
Absolutely.
I know you're a videographer pretty much full time then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how'd you get
Correct.
started in the videography?
Initially, I was going to Boise State for a psychology degree. And after my first year, I was on the fence. I'm like, is this really what I want to do? Because I wanted to do private practice. And that needed 6 or 7 years of schooling. And that was a big undertaking. And I never really subscribed even going into college in the first place. And like, I need to have a college degree, but that's just what I've been told. And my mom had a master's in teaching and in school education. So I just kind of felt like maybe that's the direction I should go. And I struggled with depression and figured that's why the counseling would have worked for me. But going into my second year, I went to my first anatomy and physiology class. And I'm like, dude, there's no freaking way I'm passing this. There's no way I even know. So it was a requirement for my major. And it was bad enough for me to switch majors. And so I went into a sociology degree. And like a week into that, I'm like, dude, this is not it. And around that time, I was selling illegal substances and had a person come through to buy from me. And we just got talking, and he said he had this friend who's a videographer who did a lot of these music videos for these really cool up-and-coming artists, and saw some of his work. I'm like, dude, this is freaking incredible. And he's like, yeah, dude, videography is like super cool because it's such a specialized thing. Like, people will pay a lot of money for it. It gives you the chance to be creative. And in this day and age where social media is starting to come up and get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's just going to be more and more useful to be able to do this. and he had a camera that I would kind of go and kind of watch him and see how it worked. This was actually later on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Around the same time, like within a few days of him telling me, this goes into divine intervention. I had a buddy who wanted to get into music, and he wanted me to do his first music video, shot on my iPhone, and edited it in iMovie. Apple's, I don't even know if they do it anymore, but it's like their free editing program, and just fell in love with it. And like that next week, I dropped out, and then I was going to some of these shoots with this friend of mine. Starting to see how he operated. I was watching Peter McKinnon, if you know who that is, big time Canon camera user, YouTuber, influencer. He was huge back in like 2018, 2019, 2020. He's still pretty big, but I've just kind of fallen off that content and just grinded and grinded and grinded, working at Dutch Bros coffee shop from like 4 or 5 a.m. till like 11 or noon most mornings. And then I'd go from there to the mall in Boise and work at the Vans skateboard shoe store until the evening. And then I would usually spend my evenings in my room using my bed as like a editing table on my laptop, and I'd use the little foot cushion as my seat, and I would just be hunched over and locked in my room watching YouTube tutorials and just messing with the editing program, trying to learn it, and did that for a while. And the hardest part about that was, living with my best friends, and there's a party going out in the living room, and I'm just kind of locked away doing my thing. And got hired at bodybuilding.com going into at the end of 2020. That's why I just loved the fitness side of things. And end of 2021, started working with the client Price Plow, who was my first like real consistent, getting pretty good pay to edit their videos. And I went on a couple trips with them beginning of 2022, and they essentially gave me the offer that was able to get me out of bodybuilding.com. So that was in March of 2022. And from there on, I was able to, and I'm still with them. I edit their videos, but now I've moved it up into like content creation with them as well. So in front of the camera. And then I get to also freelance and kind of take on whatever projects I see fit.
But you're pretty much all just self-taught then, sounds like, for videography?
100%.
Just grinding it out.
YouTube, messing up a lot, and yeah. Yep.
Dang. That's pretty sweet because you bootstrapped the whole thing.
Yep.
And you just started out on an iPhone then.
Yep, I did.
Just work with what you got.
Yeah, and I was very fortunate because after from 2018, it was like August, September of 2018, that's when I dropped out, all the way up until very beginning of July of 2019. I was using my iPhone, or I was using my buddy's camera, and then that's when I went to my parents. And I'm like, look, I'm so dedicated to this. Is there any way you can help me get into a camera? And they ended up giving me a loan that I actually just paid off finally like 3 weeks ago for a camera and a stabilizer. And they were like, all right, this is it. This is all help you're getting. Figure it out and make sure and pay us back. And that's kind of how it went. So I was able to get into a camera and gimbal, which with some help, which again, super, super blessed to have the support of my parents through that. But yeah, still not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of mistakes made. There was a lot of time into it, a lot of parties missed, a lot of different things that had to go into it. But I always told myself when I went into it that I wanted to make myself proud in 5 years of what I did. And I had a firm belief that I can party my 20s away and have all the fun I want, and then I'll work the rest of my life to figure it out, or I'm going to work my ass off in my 20s and do everything I possibly can so that by the time 30 hits, I have everything I need to be lined up for life. Meaning, essentially, I at least have a career in order. I have the people in my corner that I need to not only sustain but elevate myself and themselves. And yeah, just be in a position where I can be moving up and have control of my schedule. That was the biggest thing. Is I knew from very, very young age that I want to be a dad, and I wanted to be the dad that was like my mom, where she never really missed any games. She was always very, very supportive and at all the events, extracurricular things that I did. And I wanted to do that too. And I knew that the best way to do that was to be my own boss, or well, yeah, to be my own boss essentially. So that's been the grind. And I think I'll definitely be at that position when I hit that age to have enough control to be present in my kids' lives and be able to spend the time where I wanted to.
That's a huge step. I mean, especially in your younger 20s, to be able to look ahead and
Right.
realize that this is your party years, and to determine that there is a bigger path for you than just to waste away some years that you see probably a lot of your peers and everything else.
Yeah.
Just for a future, especially with a family, man. I think that's probably where a big part of your faith, helped you out in realizing what was a bigger picture and what was the sacrifices that you needed to make.
Yep. Absolutely.
If you don't sacrifice for your goal is going to be a sacrifice, right? So.
Absolutely. And the sad thing is seeing the same people or a lot of the similar people, I guess, who were in that living room partying when I was working, like, they're not much farther than they were 5 years ago. And that's the stuff that scares me, is like, if I, at this day, September 11th, 2024, can look back and I have not made much of a move since September 11th of 2020, let's say, that's terrifying, dude. That's 4 years. So it's, again, I had that mindset of 1% better every day, or 0.1% better, whatever I could give. And it just shows that consistent growth will happen if you give consistent time to something.
When you decided to lock yourself in your room and your friends were partying, did you get some backlash from your friends and be like, why are you doing this, man? Or were they pretty supportive of you? Or how was that chapter?
It was tough because I was definitely locked away. There was definitely times where I came out of that room to, go party with them a little bit. But then I would still find myself usually like coming back after it and being half messed up still on my computer, just kind of watching these videos. But it definitely hurt some of my relationships in my life. I lived with my best friend from high school. It was me, him, and one other friend that was more in kind of his side of the friends that moved in. And me and him definitely weren't as close during that time, because it was just, I had this vision of like, this is who I want to be and this is where I need to do. And he was like, this is the years I need to party and do my thing. And we definitely suffered friendship-wise for a while, but God definitely put us back in our lives, which is beautiful. And now we're, just as close as ever. But at the same time, I wasn't too worried about the people I was losing at that time, because I knew that if I'm losing them, they're not necessary to my plan, and they're not benefiting me anyway. If they are upset or they're insecure or whatever about me working on this thing instead of getting messed up with them every weekend and doing XYZ, then I didn't need that. And I realized at that time that I was going to lose people, and I was okay with that. And that was a decision I made when I started. I'm like, I know that a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I'm going to use these years to just go as hard as I freaking can.
Yeah. I hear a lot of the people on YouTube and entrepreneurs, they always say there's a lonely chapter.
Yep.
Where you start growing out of your current set of friends, but you haven't developed a set of skills yet to get the new set of friends, and you just
Yep.
have to push through that.
Yep. And
you can look back and see where you've came from, and if you go back, it's the red pill, blue pill. You know what that life is like.
Yep.
But one of the sayings I like to hear is, if you think the price of winning is high, wait till you get the bill for regret.
Yep. Regret is one of the scariest things to me. There's going to be a lot of things I'm sure I'm going to regret. And I mean, like, I may never go skydiving. base jumping, whatever. But I may regret those things, but I know I'm not going to have any regret with the work I'm putting in. And I knew that going into it, which I'm very, very thankful that I had that mindset. And if anyone does want to take an entrepreneurial step, or take a chance on themselves, just know that it's going to be hard. You're going to lose people, but be okay with it, because what's on the other side of all that hard work and discipline you're going to learn is going to be worth it.
If someone's lacking the confidence to take that first step, where do you think they could start? Maybe they don't think that they're good enough for that life, or maybe it's just their whole environment. Like their parents have done the 9-to-5 job their whole life and that's all they know.
I would say, man, at first, if you do have a faith, I would say pray. God's always going to answer in one way or another. So I would say pray. That's always the first go-to. But also just if you feel it, you'll know. Because there's a lot of decisions I'm sure you've made too, even going into this. Like, it's scary starting something new, but you knew that this was something that was calling you. And that was kind of my thing. And it was my thing with bodybuilding. It was with videography. There was something, and now I know it was God. I truly believe God called me to do the things I'm doing today and that I will do in the future and everything I've done in the past. But you'll know that if something's pulling you that way, listen to it. Humans are instinctual as well, so you'll get a bad feeling if something isn't right, usually. So I believe if you have an idea, if you have a vision of something that you just can't seem to knock, just go for it. Because at the end of the day, 6 months later, if it all went to shit, drop it. Go to the next thing. Or now you know all the things not to do, and you have a great starting point for that idea at this point. And you got that crappy 6 months out of the way, and now you know, okay, XYZ did not work, but we're going to go ahead and start with a new plan A here.
Right. Yeah, it's so powerful. I think just pushing through those hard times, knowing, going into it too, that you're going to be facing these things.
And you're going to mess up a lot.
Yeah, and then you learn from those mistakes, and just to expect that if you're not even failing, you're probably not even trying.
Yep, absolutely. Be okay with failing. And on top of that, it's like what you said, you're either winning or learning. And so remember to switch that failing mindset to learning. And you mentioned just a second ago, like if you don't have the confidence to start, just remember too that confidence is not real. I don't believe in confidence. I just believe that you just got to do it. And confidence is just the facade of you being successful. You're still the same person that was 6 months ago, whatever. Maybe besides a couple different decisions, but I'm not confident. Some people have told me that, man, you just seem confident when you're filming in the gym and there's people looking at you and you're doing this, or you have the confidence to go on stage and a freaking like swim trunk looking thing and just pose. Like, that's just wild, but it's not confidence. I'm just doing it. I just know that these are the things that kind of come with it, and you just got to do it and just have fun with it, you know? I like not being confident. I like being uncomfortable because I know I'm growing at that point in one way or another. If I'm too confident, that means I'm too comfortable in a spot, and it's probably time to check myself and see, like, okay, what do I need to change here to kind of step back, put myself in place, and get to a point of growth again.
Yeah, growth is on the other side of discomfort.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that that's a huge thing if you can find what you're scared of and go straight at it.
Yep.
There's a lot to be said for that, because when it's like the cow and the buffalo, you know, you can either run from the storm, you can run into the storm. The storm's going to catch up with you either way.
Yep.
How long do you want to be running from those fears? Yep. Personally, I'm not a big, like, talking to people I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for me to do a podcast and just keep inviting people that I'm not, like, on a daily talking to. Like, I can talk to you. If we work together, I'll tell you my whole life story. But if you're just coming and helping us for the day, like, I pretty like
Reserved.
professional.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this is huge, like way out of my comfort zone.
Good.
But yeah, I always think that the more hard things that you can voluntarily put yourself through, when those times come up later in life that you don't ask for, like, well, I survived through that one moment.
Yep.
I can survive through this one.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding, right? So,
Oh yeah. People think that, people think that it's easy for some people and it's harder for others. Like, no, everybody's going through stuff. Everybody has a hard time with the hard thing that they're pushing through. Like, just keep going. Just keep going. And I love that this scares you and that it like makes you feel uncomfortable because you're doing great, and it's only going to benefit you more and more and more because you're going to do this more and more. You're going to reach more and more people, and you're going to be just so happy about everybody who gets value from this podcast, you know, because who knows all the people you wouldn't have reached if you didn't start. And, you know, going to that storm analogy, like you can either run from it or run into it. And I mean, it's weird to say, I've said this to myself too, but I'm like, quitting is always option 2. If worst comes to worst, I'll quit. Worst comes to worst, I'll run from the storm. But let's at least take a chance to run into it. Let's just see what it would be like if I gave 1,000% for just this much amount of time. Let's see how it goes. Because usually when you do that, you get through that first day and you're like, what if I try 2 days? All right, what if I do that for a third day? What if I do it for a week, for a month? And then you're a year or two in, you're like, what if I do this for another year? And then that's when you just see more and more growth. And that's when you see more results. And that's what makes it more fun. Because you're going to be doing this. One person's going to listen. And then 10. And then 50. And then 100. And then you're at 1,000 a week. And then you're at 5,000 a week. And then you're starting to see those numbers. And you're not going to appreciate it unless you saw those 1 view a day, 1 view a week type of months, you know?
right.
Just got to keep doing it, bro. You're going to see the growth. You're going to find benefit in the hard, uncomfortable things.
Yeah. One of the people that I really look up to is Alex Hormozy. I listen to a lot of his podcasts, and
It's great.
you know, he's like, if you can just expand your time horizon of not wanting it overnight, not wanting it in a year, like give it 10 years, you know, don't quit, outwork your self-doubt. You're not motivation is bullshit. It's going to go. The thing that's going to keep you going is consistency.
Yep.
So expand your time horizons. It's not going to be overnight. He said even in his podcast, he made it like 200 or something episodes before he even started getting in the top 100. And that was, you putting in those reps, and he's got the rule of 100. They would do 100 and then reevaluate if you want to quit. Do 100. So, that's for me, like I'm on like episode 4 or 5. I'm not even sure which one it is. So I got a long way to go, but it's, if you just, I think if you expand that time horizon, especially I've dealt with this with my clients, like you're not going to see results right away. Give it 60, give it 90 solid days, give it 100 workouts, and then we'll reevaluate.
If you want to quit, fine.
Yeah, but give it 100 solid workouts.
Yes.
And then see if you have results.
Yes. I really hope that becomes more of a thing. It's exactly that. And that's how I've looked at a lot of my journey is, yes, these 3 months have been really tough, for example. But if I zoom out here and be like, wow, look at the growth from a year and 6 months, year and 3 months, whatever. Wow, that's crazy. I'm going to zoom out 5 years. Holy crap, I'm a different person. And that's the type of stuff like, okay, now I'm at the new checkpoint. These next 5 years, I'm going to be a totally different person. But hopefully I'm just going to be a totally different person that's elevated from this point, Just keep elevating. Zoom out just a little bit and be proud of the work of what you put in.
I think you going back to that 1% better each day is huge. People want huge results, but if you can just do 1% better in a whole year, that's a 360-degree difference. You're a new person. Just doing 1% better a day, taking those small steps, not trying to go 10 steps at a time, deducting the things from your life that you don't need that are getting you further from your goals, or you don't need to add stuff. Most of the time you just need to deduct things that are they're distractions in your life.
Yes, absolutely.
like a lot of people say, I've dealt with this with some clients. Are like, I just don't have the time to work out. And you're like, well, let's pull up that time clock on your phone that tells you how much time you spend on
Yeah.
apps. It's like, I had to do that myself.
Same.
You know,
I do the
like,
same thing.
I don't have time to do this, or and I look and it's like, oh, you spent an hour on YouTube today, or you spent an hour on TikTok. You know, so I just. Especially having kids, man, like that's time I'm never going to get back.
Yeah. And you got to prioritize, and you got to make sure that that's at the forefront. I truly believe when you have kids. And that's like what I said too, when you're bodybuilding or fitness, whatever, like life still happens. Don't let that get in the way of life. Life should be first. Your family should be first. And then you make that next goal around it. And and that's the problem I think with people who are trying to become the best in the world of stuff, is because that is what consumes them. And people don't realize to become the best in the world, it takes every being, every fiber of you, every single day. And most people can't do that because there is life that you got to take care of. And those people who are in those positions usually don't have much of a life. It is just that. And I mean, sure there's, the one-offs who somehow balance it somewhat, but don't let that, I don't want people to ever think that that's a true expectation. Like you could do it all. You can't. Take care of that, then hit your goals. But I mean, make sure obviously putting as much as you can into it after your family, and, even talk to your family. And if that means they understand you taking a little more time away from them to put into that goal, even better. I mean, then you have a supportive system behind you to really go all in. But yeah, I just don't think it's a true expectation though to be the best in the world at something and be able to still manage everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had to check myself too. I think like I got to do all this work for my kids. I want them to have the best life possible, and I want them to have nice vacations, and I want them to have the best education they can.
Great.
But at the end of the day, I got to remember that they never asked for this life. They just want their dad and their mom and everybody just to be present with them. They don't care about all the nice things that I think they care about.
Right.
Because I have to remember, like when I was a kid, my parents tried to give me the best life too, but there was a lot of things that I didn't care about. I would just rather just be happy
with them or whatever.
Yeah. So I think just remembering too, just to be present with your kids. I have to keep reminding my wife all the time, like, hey, we only got 8 more years with our oldest daughter.
That's crazy.
Don't forget that.
What helps keep you present?
Just remembering that I could not wake up tomorrow, man. Every day is a blessing. There's a lot of people that don't get that opportunity to wake up. Sometimes the hardest times that you can have, you're better than a lot of people that didn't even wake up. A lot of people ask me, hey, how's your day going? I was like, well, I woke up this morning. It's a good start.
Yep. I think you said that to me at one morning that I saw you.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the basic things. I'm just trying to be grateful for the things that a lot of people take for granted, You have a hard leg day workout, and there's people that are in a wheelchair their whole life.
Yes.
I did a half marathon earlier this year, and I didn't train as well as I should have for it, but the pain that I was feeling, I knew that there was a lot of people that could never feel that pain.
Yep.
Just being grateful. There was people that didn't wake up that day. And, I think once I started maybe believing that there was, a creator and getting that faith, I started being grateful for a lot of things. And, just doing the comparison of where my childhood was and where I want my kids' childhood to be. I want them to have a good life, but I don't want it to be, too good. I want them to still have to work for things. It's like but it all comes back to just being grateful.
Yes. Attitude of gratitude.
I used to send out gratitude texts. I need to start doing that again, because I think that that's a weird thing too that I was thinking of the other day on my way home. I get these weird thoughts, but someone in their funeral, their friends are all coming up to him like, man, this guy was so good. Like, he was such a cool guy. I always cherish the moments, but I know, at least for myself, I never tell my friends that while they're alive,
Bro, I'm so glad you said that, because that's something I need to get better at too. And I used to do a lot. I used to try and like send a text like once a week to like my friend circle, just like, hey, I appreciate you. Hope you have a good week. You know, I'm glad you're in my life and my circle. Just something like that. And I remember one of my buddies one time telling me, like, yo, I just, on a real level, just want to let you know, like, that is part of the reason why we're really good friends. And I appreciate that because we don't see each other a lot. But I know that when you send those texts, you're in the middle of your busy day and you're thinking of me just for that split second, and you send that text, it means a lot. And it truly does mean so much because that's been reciprocated, and nothing has made me felt any better. And it always seems to happen on the days I need it. Like
Yeah.
it always seems to happen on the days I'm low and gloomy or whatever, not motivated, whatever. I get a text saying, hey, bro, hope your week's going good. Keep crushing it. And it's just like, thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
I need to make that part of my routine again.
Well, right now we'll say it. We're both going to start it. What is today? Wednesday. So by Friday, we got to send out a couple texts to some friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Deal.
I think there's, a lot of times I hear people regret it. Like, if you still have a mom or a dad or anybody, like, make sure you call them, tell them you love them.
Yeah,
You don't
absolutely
know when it's going to be, but that's the same with anybody in your life. And there's a lot of people that aren't in my family that have been really big mentors in my life that, maybe they don't understand how much of a role they've played, but that's where you could send your gratitude.
Right. Make it known.
How do you think daily routine helps somebody win the day? I mean, do you start your day out with like working out, or do you just get in when you can? What kind of a routine do you have?
I think routine is the only way to success. To have any type of success, what you're doing, I think you got to have a solidified routine somewhat, because that's what's going to carry you through the curveballs of life to keep you on track. So I do have a routine. Granted, my routine's a little bit different because of the amount of cardio I'm doing and that I'm in prep. But right now, a prep routine is I wake up at 5 a.m. I'm at the gym by about anywhere between like 5:20 and 5:30, doing 50 minutes of cardio. And then after that, I am home at about 6:15, 6:30. I prep my wife for work. So when she's getting ready, I like to cook her breakfast, make sure she's got a good nutritional breakfast and lunch because she's got long days. And make her coffee. I send her off at about 7 a.m. And at about that time is when I'm having my first meal. And then when she's gone, about 7:30-ish, 7:45, I'll head to the gym. And I mean, this may vary by an hour or two sometimes, but usually it's about that. Workout till about 9:30, 10. Come home, shower, eat, and then I'm usually editing. I usually set out editing blocks from about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how that day is going to look. But I'll usually do like a couple hour editing block. I'll eat and then do another couple hour editing block. Take my dog for a walk usually, and I'll come back and do that one more time. And then I cut it off at about 6 p.m. usually, to start cooking some dinner for my wife and have my last meal and kind of just wrap up for the night and then just have family time from there. But yeah, the schedule is the biggest thing because even like I was out of town these last couple of days, having that schedule to adhere to keeps me on track, because if I have a day where I'm doing this and then one day I wake up at 8 a.m. and I was originally planning all this stuff, my whole day is screwed up. So that's what keeps me in line when I'm on a trip. Then, okay, I'm still gone, but I'm going to get up at 5 and I do my routine, and that just makes everything flow. So it is just so important to have a routine.
Yeah, for sure, man. My daily routine's been kind of off, but like on my work days, I'm trying to still make sure that I work out first. Mm-hmm. 'Cause honestly, it's not fair for everybody else that I work with if I don't work out first. I'm kind of like I feel like my whole routine's off, and makes a difference. So even though I got to be to work by 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning,
It's tough.
yeah, I got to be at the gym by like 3:20 in the morning.
And I see you though, like I've seen you a few times. So like you're getting it done. That's great.
Yeah, man.
Not that early, I haven't seen you, but
Yeah.
I've seen you at the gym still, and you're getting it done.
Yeah, that goes back to the whole thing of like I just want to have that time later on in the day with my kids, so I know that if I don't have to hurry it, I'll make it like an hour session of the gym go like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get
Yes.
like, you're like finding that right song in between. You're like,
Yes.
I can't do this set unless I have a sick song to be doing this
Yes.
pump to,
Oh
man.
yeah, that's every workout I have.
Yeah.
That's every workout I have. I love that you're an early person too, because I'm the same way. Of like, my wife has asked me like, why do you do this? Get up early. So I was like, I'd rather get everything I need to get done out of the way as early as possible, so I can enjoy the rest of the day with whoever and whatever I want. You know.
Yeah. And then when it's time to put my kids to bed, I'm like, it's time for me to go to bed too. 8:30, sweet.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely.
People invite me out. They're like, we're going karaokeing. You want to go? I was like, what time are you going? We'll probably go to the bar around like 9 o'clock. I'm in bed, man.
Yeah. Heck no.
Like, it's on a Saturday. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I'm still in bed at 9 o'clock.
You're on your grind, bro. That's awesome. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. And it's like, I view life as a video game sometimes. Like when I get texts like that, I actually don't anymore because people know what I'm doing. But when I was getting started and I was getting those type of texts, I'm like, all right, this is that level in the game of like, do I want to level up here and say, no, I'm going to stay here in edit, or do I want to stay in one place and go out with these NPCs and freaking drink and feel like crap the next morning and be a step behind? I never wanted that, especially with fitness. Like, you know, more than anything, like a night of drinking, that's 2 days of recovery, truly, of like
Right.
a day feeling like crap and then a day of like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better now, and then you're kind of back in it.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing good happens after 10 o'clock at night.
Dude.
You're not going to get any closer to your goals, that's for sure.
Nope.
Yeah, man. I don't really miss drinking.
Me
I
neither.
did for a little bit. You know, it was mainly like when I'd go golfing. Because that was like,
I still
would-
have a drink on the golf course too. There's something about the golf course, man.
yeah. That was my spot, man. I'd be sneaking in beers and stuff with the boys, and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
but then I actually broke 80 this year for the first time, and I stopped drinking. So I was like, all right, maybe that it wasn't making me better.
Damn, dude, I would consider give up bodybuilding to shoot an 80. That's freaking awesome. 80? Broke 80, I guess.
Right. Yeah,
Ah,
I've been doing it
nice.
for like 13 years though, and that's the first time. So
Dang.
I mean it's
That's
those
wild.
reps.
That's true. Golf is a reps game, and the unfortunate part about it, it's one of the most expensive
It's
games.
expensive, yeah. Yeah, you
So
can't
it's
just
tough.
go and play frisbee golf or something.
Nah,
Go to a
man.
local park. Yeah, it's like 60 to $100. Next week I'm going up to Tamarack, and that's like $150 a person.
Oh yeah, it's nuts, dude.
You go up to Coeur d'Alene, it's like $265 a person.
Is Coeur d'Alene the one that has that green?
The floating
that's-
green.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to go see that, dude. I saw TikTok on that. I'm like, dude, that looks so cool.
Yeah, it's on a track, so it always moves. Like every
Mm-hmm.
day, the yardages move, so you can play it. You know, if you're a resident, you can play it multiple times, different yardages.
Oh, it's dope.
There's a cooler one over in like it's a Coeur d'Alene resort, the native, the casino down there, It's Circling Raven. And that one's a nice course.
I'll have
That
to
one's
check
like
it
on the
out.
LPGA tour.
Yeah, I gotta check it out then. I will shoot like 110, but I gotta check it out still.
Yeah, dude, we
Fun.
should definitely go golfing sometime.
I'm down.
It's almost end of season, but we still got a couple months.
Oh yeah, people golf into October.
Yeah.
We'll be good. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
I got a tournament in October, so hopefully it's still nice, and hopefully the smoke clears out. Though the smoke's what's killing us right now.
Yeah, it is. It should. It usually clears out by like end of September. It starts to get a little better, but this year's been pretty wild. I guess we'll find out.
So what's next for you, man? I know you said you got that show. It's coming up. Where's that at here?
Yeah, it's gonna be in Boise. It'll be at Boise State.
Nice, and that's how many weeks out now?
7.5. 7.5. It'll be 7 on the dot on Saturday.
You have your eyes on any more shows after that you want to go for?
We'll see. So it kind of just depends on how this goes. I'm a person that's usually like no plan B, like this is it. But as I was kind of bored looking through the OCB shows this year, there was one more show on this side of the states that's December 7th. So that's almost 4 weeks away from my show. So the plan is, depending how the show goes, obviously I'm going for the win. If I don't win, or if I win, I'm just going to go into an off season. The next show would either be just for fun, the NPC Idaho Cup next June, or I will just bulk and do my thing or move on to my next fitness endeavor. If I don't win, depending on how far off I am, and how close I am to the number one spot, I'll either compete in that show in December and then probably call it for the year, or if I'm just way off and competition is still crazy, then I'll just stop there and go into a big off season.
Nice. That's cool, man. I'm excited to watch your progress. Start watching it, getting closer to season, and
yeah, dude, appreciate it. Come, check it out if you're not busy on
yeah,
November 2nd.
I've never gone to one, so I think that might have to be. When is it?
November 2nd. It's a Saturday.
Nope, I won't be there. Sorry, I'll
I
be.
get it, bro.
I drew a tag in Utah for a
Nice.
mule deer tag.
Nice.
So, and it opens on that day.
Okay.
Otherwise,
right
I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there, but
no worries, bro. I'm headed hunting next Wednesday through Saturday, or Wednesday through Friday, up in the Owyhees.
oh wow,
Yeah, we drew tags for whitetail, I think, and then my stepdad drew for an elk in November. So we got some fun hunts ahead of us.
what's the whitetail? Is it mule deer? Usually, Owyhees is mule deer, but
I believe so.
yeah, that's a big tag.
Mm-hmm.
It's a premier tag. Is it a rifle or is it archery?
Muzzle loaded.
Oh, muzzleloader.
Yeah,
you need a
dude.
40 or Owyhees. That's probably 40, 41, 42. Wow.
Yeah, dude. It's a trip. I shot the gun for the first time like 3 weeks ago, and
It's a big 50 caliber round.
yeah, it is, dude. I didn't realize it, and I've always been very wary about guns growing up. I've shot it, and I've gone hunting and got a couple deer in the past, but never was a big gun person, and it was not comfortable shoving that thing down the barrel, just looking right down it. And so after I shot it, I'm like, damn, that's pretty big. And like, yeah, it's a 50 cal.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Good thing I didn't know before. I would have been all psyched out about it, but it'll be fun.
Is this one of your first hunts, or you've been hunting for a while?
This is going to be my fourth hunt. So, went on 2 hunts, 2 whitetail deer hunts in, what was I playing? Bonner's Ferry, up with my uncle back in like 2016, 15, somewhere in there. Well, it was actually 2015, 2016. And went on 1 bear hunt. Didn't see a bear or anything, but went on the hunt. And then after that, didn't really do much hunting. Didn't see the need for it. And it was just more like, I don't want to say fun back in the day, but I mean, I was at my parents' house. They were going.
Right.
My stepdad was in it. I'm like, might as well go and do it. But this case, now I'm going for the meat. Meat prices are crazy. I don't even buy meat from the store really anymore. I don't trust it. So with the way the world's going, it's going to be there will be a lot more confidence in my head having some meat. Hopefully we get one, but hopefully having some meat in the freezer.
Yeah, and really lean protein.
Oh yeah. So it might save me some money in that end too.
Have you ever harvested one yet?
I haven't been a part of the process really.
Right. Well, good luck to you this year, man. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it is. It'll be fun, bro. I'm gonna take a GoPro out there. I'm gonna make it because I'm obviously in prep and I'm doing this prep series. I'm just gonna make that the video.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to be able to document that, and especially like doing it with my stepdad and stepbrother, being up there out of the freaking craziness of the world, just all together, getting some quality time, doing that. It's gonna be a blast, man. I'm so excited.
That's awesome. And muzzleloader hunt's gonna be, you gotta be pretty close, so that's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, it is, dude. So hopefully I get it on film. Hopefully I get something. But if anything, like I hope they get something. Just one of us getting something.
Yeah. There's a lot of animals up there. It's a controlled hunt unit, so
Yeah,
I think you guys should be good.
that's the hope.
We'll have to have you back on and hear the success stories.
Dude, I hope so. I would love to.
At least at the end of your competition too, and just recap.
Oh,
see how
I'd
that
love
went.
to, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be coming up quick anyway. So I'm down.
Where's the best spot for people to follow you at?
My Instagram, at Cody_Fernley, or my YouTube, which is just at Cody Fernley, no caps, no spaces. That's where I do most of my stuff, but I also post to TikTok and a little bit to Facebook. But Instagram and YouTube are where I really like to put everything at.
Sweet. Well, we'll drop a link below, and then I appreciate your time, man.
Dude, appreciate you having me on Rain Brings Growth podcast. I love it, dude. This has been a freaking awesome experience.
Hey, for the third one, I think it went great.
Oh, I think so too. Please support this man. Thank you so much for having me on, and I'm excited to see your growth too, bro.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in the gym, man, and looking forward to seeing you win that big one.
Thank you. What are you hitting tomorrow? Are you working out?
Yes, I was not able to go this morning, so yeah, I gotta do legs.
Ooh.
And then I got Charlie on Friday, so
Let's
see what
go.
he's got in store for me.
It's gonna be a good week, brother.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks again, and have a good one.
Thank you.